Hi, this is Rick from 4 Community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. I was the assistant pastor of a church a bunch of years ago, and my boss, out of the blue, the pastor, came over to me one Sunday and gave me the instruction to go over to a guy and walk that person out of the building and inform them they were no longer allowed to return to the church. Modern day example of excommunication. They were permanently banned. Well, man, that was not a fun conversation I wanted to have. Namely because I knew the guy. I thought the guy was foolish, but I didn't think he was unreachable or horrible. Just thought he was foolish. But man, now thankfully, there was no escalation for this one. And I think I was the one that was called upon because I knew this guy the best. And so he wasn't going to escalate with me. At the time, before I had ever been a senior pastor yet, I didn't get it, and I didn't like it. Now, to me, it felt like it was harsh, cruel, kind of judgy, like we were giving up on someone or making life harder for someone instead of giving them another chance. Like the church is supposed to be a safe place for everyone, where everyone gets accepted, so why are we doing this? This guy needs a second chance, I was thinking to myself. At least that was going through my mind. Of course, I didn't actually communicate that to this guy, because that would have been bad for me. I just walked the guy out, let him know the instructions, and off he went. And I don't think we talked again ever since that. I didn't get it. I didn't like it. My view, however, has changed since that moment. I now understand why we kick people out of churches, because I've been a senior pastor a few times. But that moment stays in my memory because I was getting along with the guy, and I wasn't able to see the drama that he was actually causing behind the scenes. So it totally confused me. What about you? Have you ever been in a church or known a church to kick somebody out? If you've somehow been a part or become aware of someone getting kicked out of a church and you have a thought about it, would you please pause the video and share your thoughts? This video is based on my interpretation of 2 John. I'd like to say chapter 1, but it's just one chapter. 2 John verses 10 and 11, which I think is all about creating boundaries and ending relationships. 2 John verses 10 through 11. If anyone comes to your meeting and does not teach the truth about Christ, don't invite that person into your home or give any kind of encouragement. Anyone who encourages such a person becomes a partner in their evil work.
I wonder what that noise was about.
I think it was a TIE fighter.
Chewie, where you going, you fraidy furball? That's for smuggling!
Hey kids! Don't forget to watch this week's episode of Connect HQ.
Here's the question that I'd like to try to answer in this video. Is a boundary that ends a relationship too harsh? I struggle a little trying to answer this question. I mean, the text is logically simple, but it can feel like it lacks humanity. I mean, in this culture, it's pretty much guaranteed that almost everyone is going to come to one of the meetings that I lead thinking something other than what I'm thinking. Everyone's interpretation is going to be just a little different. So I struggle with this a little because I can see how easy it is to mistake someone's alternative viewpoint as a power struggle, as though there's an evil motive. What I hear really loudly in this text, and we absolutely can't escape this, is the theme of leadership. And when we add leadership to this theme, it gets a little trickier. Almost every conversation I'm a part of includes some form of mutual influence. And leadership is influence. As a leader, I don't want to oversee and create a community culture where people aren't allowed to share their point of view for fear of being ejected from the group. I don't want to be part of that. So how do I understand this and apply this heavy-handed consequences approach in a way that still invites diversity? Well, here it goes. In my opinion, this is really about knowing what boundaries are and sticking to healthy boundaries. Although we want to treat everyone with respect, I think the most giving and caring people are also those who have really, really great boundaries. They know what boundaries are, they know what their boundaries are, and they stick to them. Here are two thoughts I see about boundaries in this text, trying to answer the question, is a boundary that ends a relationship too harsh? First, this is about influence and not about diversity. The text says, does not teach the truth. At that same church where I was an assistant pastor, I had someone try to sneak one by me. One of my roles at that same church where I had to kick that guy out of, one of my roles at that church as an assistant pastor was to connect with anyone who wanted to rent our facilities. I was also responsible for all of the small groups at the church as well. I once had a person contact me saying that they were starting a community group and they wanted to start it in our building that would meet on Saturdays. And they claimed that it would be a group that brings people together and offers support for families in the community. It was really vague. They intentionally didn't tell me what the support was. They didn't tell me really what the group was, the nature of the group. Just, no, it's just a group for community people, just bringing families together. So I sat on that for a moment. I said, just send in your application and I'll review it. And then at the same time, one of the members of the group was beginning to attend one of our small groups and causing some problems for me. He was teaching some very strange things. And by teaching, I mean not just sharing his point of view. He was attempting to gain influence and persuade the people to adopt his way of thinking and leaving the church and joining some other thing that was starting up, which led me to getting called into some of these groups, because it was more than one actually, to calm them down because they were escalating. As it turned out, it was an SDA person who kind of went rogue. SDA is an organization kind of like a church that meets on Saturdays instead of Sundays. They were attempting to plant, this small organization that was trying to start up, they were attempting to plant a church in my church by converting our church members. It was so bizarre. So it's pretty easy to deal with this person. A quick call to their local district office to report them ended that pretty quickly. And the SDA district office also called to apologize for any confusion that may have happened due to this rogue person. Okay. The lowest level of leadership is a title. At a high level of leadership is found influence. Leadership is influence. That's what my illustration is about, and that's what this text is about. The text isn't giving us instructions about how to deal with people who have different points of view. It's giving us instructions about how to deal with those more nefarious people, the kind of people who would come into your office, your family, your church, your friends group. They show up to gain influence to make a change that's counterculture or incompatible with your mission and goals, or that's divisive and hurts otherwise good relationships. We're reading about creating a boundary against the nefarious, not against those with other opinions. Differing opinions is awesome. Having a culture among your friends or office or church group or even in your family that allows for a diversity of opinions to be shared is absolutely awesome. Diversity is a strength. However, an attack on your core identity and values or mission, that is not okay. It is not okay to let a pirate have the freedom to create a mutiny under your watch. And that's what this text is about. So to be clear about what we're talking about, we're not talking about a person who just has a different opinion, because diversity is okay. The text is talking about a person who has intent to influence, and that influence is being used to turn the group in a different direction. In this text, it's the intent to turn a group of Jesus followers away from Jesus. In other contexts, this could be a person who tends to turn a family away from parents, or a new staff member trying to turn the work against a supervisor, or a new friend who's turning a friend group in a new direction that's not healthy for them, or it's against the core values of everybody who's in that group. That's not okay behavior. The truth is that if you don't do something about this kind of person, there will be damage. People are going to get hurt. The damage isn't due to diversity of opinions. The damage is due to the person gaining influence to intentionally change and take over the leadership of an existing group. This is a pirate who is trying to influence some kind of mutiny. This is not okay. Here's the second point. This is about health, not hate. The text says, don't invite that person into your home or give any kind of encouragement. The words in this text can sound toxic as you read it. I mean, why would anyone see a person who looks like they need encouragement and then just not encourage them? Why would we target a certain person and decide to excommunicate them or reject them or tell them they're not allowed at church or tell anybody at all they're not allowed at church or tell them they can't come back over to our place or tell them to stop texting us? Why would we do that? Why would a church tell someone they can't be a part of it and just don't ever try to come back into our doors? Why would a church kick someone off of the membership list? Why would a church not be all embracing and accepting of everyone? Well, I'll tell you in some cases, in this case, because everyone's different. Most people are just going about their business, either making wise choices or foolish choices, who knows. But there are actually some people who are intending to do harm. That's why. So the text sets up a boundary. A boundary is this invisible barrier. Boundaries are limits and rules we set for ourselves within relationships. It's a guy that I really love to read, Dr. Henry Cloud. Like to listen to what he has to say. He has an awesome book on boundaries, which is simply called Boundaries. In his book, he describes three kinds of people. He describes wise, foolish, and evil people. Wise people help you help them. I mean, if you ever have to confront a wise person because they're doing something that's causing some damage, they'll pause. They'll take out a notepad to say, oh, I'm so sorry. Help me understand how I just caused some damage there so I can correct this. You don't have to be too concerned about your personal boundaries with wise people because they're likely not going to be a problem with not knowing where your boundaries are. Foolish people aren't motivated to change or get better. So if you confront a foolish person about a problem they're causing in your friend group, in your family, in your church, words just will not work with them because they're not motivated to change. There's just going to be a problem. The only way to motivate a foolish person to change is punishment and reward. Evil people are something else entirely, though. And it's this evil kind of person that Dr. Henry Cloud talks about in his book that's in mind in this text. Evil people are intentionally trying to hurt you and other people. In the case of this text, it's a matter of influencing Jesus' followers away from Jesus and out of the church by replacing truth with lies and their made-up version of whatever they think truth is. That's evil. Dr. Cloud tells us how to deal with evil people. He says, guns, money, and lawyers. Guns would be call the police or call in the military if we have to. Money, pay them off just to get rid of them. Or lawyers, settle the matter in court. It makes no sense to go mano a mano with an evil person because your pain is their intent. They want to go mano a mano with you. They want to cause you pain. Don't help give them what they want by staying close to them. Don't do that. Expel them from your life as fast as you can and create a lot of distance between you and them because they're just out to hurt you. And yeah, these kinds of people truly do exist. And an evil person doesn't look like an evil person to everybody else because they're not trying to harm everybody else. An evil person just looks like an evil person to the people or the group that they're trying to harm. Yes, I'm sorry, it's very true. There are people with nefarious intent. The closer you are to a leadership position, the more they come to the surface and see you as a target. If you're the leader of some kind of group, even if the group is your own family, you need a plan to deal with them when they come because they will come. So, this is not toxic. The text here is to protect you. The text here is to protect the people you truly care about. The text here is to protect your group, your family, your friends. Don't tolerate pirates. trying to hijack your leadership by spreading things that aren't true and hurting people under your care. Don't tolerate pirates trying to get you and your group to reject or replace your values and reject what you know to be important and true. Accept the idea that there are some people who just want to watch the world burn, or just want to watch you burn at the very least. In our everyday normal lives, I wouldn't say that there are many of them that we're going to come across that try to come into our social circles. But the more leadership you have, the more influence you have, they're coming at you because you're a target. They certainly do exist. Here's my summary. This text helps us to be prepared to set a boundary when a certain type of person comes into your circle. It's the kind of person who tries to gain influence in your group, in your family, in your work, in your church, in order to replace what you hold as important and valuable and true. They are people with nefarious intent. People are going to get hurt. It's not evil of you to have a boundary that protects your health. It's not evil of you to bring an end to a relationship that should never be allowed to exist. Some relationships lead to necessary endings. And by the way, Necessary Endings is another book that Dr. Henry Cloud has written that you'd also might like to pick up as well. Okay, what do you think about this? What's your interpretation? I hope it's a little bit different. I truly see that there is a place and a time for necessary endings, as Dr. Henry Cloud would say, and as this text would say. I truly think that excommunication, that casting someone out of a church, out of your social group, somebody new coming into your family, yeah, there are times when you just cut the string and say, nope, not you, go away. We are not for you. And you create distance between them and you set up a solid boundary and you don't let them back in. I think that there are moments for that. I don't think there's going to be a lot of them, but I think there's going to be some. I hope that you see things just a little bit different because I'm going to love to hear your perspective. Yeah, sometimes this text sounds very harsh. And when we start thinking that the church and God should be all loving, all embracing, all accepting, it's hard to think about this strong boundary, this necessary ending boundary. So let's talk about it. That's it from me to you for now. Would you please like? Would you please share? Would you please subscribe? Would you please ask for the link? Because that's how we're going to talk about it. We meet 2 times this Sunday at 10:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. If you want to contribute, there's a link down in the show notes for that. For community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. See you next time.